So I'm making a jewelry box for Carol out of an existing jewelry box. This is not as fancy as it looks. It's silver plate. It's not real silver. And I'm taking this piece, which used to be a pendant, and I'm going to put it right here to make it look extra fancy. And Carol will go, ooh, I hope. I hope she doesn't go, but I don't think she will.
Hey, 25 years of marriage and he's still trying to win her over.
Yeah,
What's the occasion?
It's her birthday, but I think I'm going to wait till December for Hanukkah, which, you know, is Jewish Christmas, of course. Carol likes this kind of glass mosaic Italian.
Let me do a close-up on that.
Okay, so the center thing is a mosaic made out of small pieces of colored glass, and so. You know, I'm going to ask Lance, in the middle of like personal chaos and political chaos, you get a certain amount of deep satisfaction out of making shit, don't you?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, a way of escaping from the world or leaving your mark on the world, ideally. And I found out lately that Carol likes this kind of jewelry, and you can go on eBay and you can often find you can often find these pieces for super cheap, like $10. You know, sometimes they're way overpriced, like $200, but you can find here and there for $10, and it's fun to go shopping for that shit. And so, and this thing, I'm going to make this crazily ornate, you know, dealy here, where this is going to sit here, and it's going to be. Even though, you know, the box is kind of junk, it's silver plate, it's not real silver. This isn't real gold, these aren't real diamonds, but if you put it all together, it should look nice.
What is it exactly, that little task that Lance is going to perform?
Right, Lance has a Dremel, which is like a dentist's drill, where, you know, when the dentist, like when you have a filling that's fresh and the dentist goes bite, 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 and your bite doesn't, it's still a little high. He gets in there and goes, and he files away, grinds away.
Why is he doing that, though?
Do we want to put it on a surface so it doesn't get away from you? Oh, wait, you're using the...
What did you want?
So there's... See that right there?
Oops, hold on. Before you start, hold on a second. 1 second, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Why is he doing that, Rick?
There's a high, this thing, the back of this thing was repurposed from something else.
Oh, okay.
And when they pulled it off of whatever it was attached to, they kind of bent the back of it so it doesn't sit flush on here. So we're grinding down, Lance is grinding down a high point, removing about 2/3 of a millimeter of height. That's looking good. Let me see how it lies. Thank you. Oh, sweet. Are we done? Hold on. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're done. Thank you, Lance.
That's it?
Well, yeah, the rest I can do by bending it.
I like grinding, man.
You know, I think
you give me power tools, and I'm.
It's
Can we see
nice.
that?
Yeah,
Let's see.
see, it's flatter to the surface now,
Oh,
and it's gonna. So
Yeah, I won't be fully
we
satisfied
didn't
until I
really
grind
put it
something
back
else
for it,
down.
Just to, and then, oh, now turn it the other way? The side, yeah. So we can see how it rests on the box.
yeah, see,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm gonna bend these wings down a little bit so it'll sit flush,
It's nice.
and it'll look like something that is worth a lot of money when I didn't spend a lot of money, which is, you know.
What gave you the idea to get rid of this? Where did you find the box? And maybe you already told us, did you?
Are we done?
I think we're done
That was
dremeling. Thank
nothing,
you,
man.
Lance. Thank you, thank you.
Don't you want me to cut something else?
No, I
Let's,
mean,
let's see.
uh-uh.
Wow, look at you. You look amazing there.
I look amazing? Why is that?
Yeah, that
Well, you know, the key with dremeling, especially metal, is you don't want to inhale the metal. You don't want it flying back up into your eyes.
Oh.
So if you've learned anything from watching this show, always use adequate eye protection when using your Dremel.
Now, let me disagree with that. Like, this a bad person like me at safety thinks, you know, I have contact lenses, and they act like mini goggles where little fragments will just go tink, 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 and bounce off my contact lenses. And so often I will like very irresponsibly, just because these are hard to see through. They get dusty and dirty, and I will just.
Was I in danger right now? Then, or you have to be right?
Nah.
Nah, it doesn't go. It can't go that far. And the other thing is this: when you're using a heavy grinder, that is a loud grinder, that is a big one, always use adequate ear protection, because you can go deaf in one day. You can lose some hearing in one day of carelessly grinding with a heavy grinder against stone or metal. I learned that doing a marble. The first marble I ever did with a big grinder, big cutter. I was so excited to do it, and it made a real loud noise, and I thought, well, that's how you cut. You have a loud noise and stone just falls away. And my hearing's never been the same. So one day was all it took.
Here's another caution. Make sure you know what you're cutting into. Our house, I decided, our house is stucco. Stucco is a form of cement that gets slapped on the outside of the house. And I decided, you know, I'm going to put some windows in the attic. And so I just took a circular saw, and I just went and cut through the stucco. And then I found out that there's a certain possibility that the stucco that I was cutting through, without a face mask, without goggles, was made with asbestos. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't think so, because I did further research. But really, you should know that whether you're, you know, frickin'.
And I'd like to say, are you done?
Yeah.
I'd like to say something else. Now, this is one of the most important things I found. I've known this since I was 15 years old, but it's still relevant today. I still see people making this mistake, and that is, do not use the pull-out method, okay? Because even though you're pulling out, there's always a little bit of spermatozoa on the tip of the winkle, and you can still get a girl pregnant. But don't interrupt me, there's more.
Okay.
If you think you're going to use one of those suppositories that you put in the vaginal canal before you have sex, there's only an 80% chance of success with those. That means 1 out of 5 times.
20% failure rate.
Yeah, 1 out of 5 times. It might be 90%, but that means there's a 10%, 1 in 10 chance that the girl's going to get pregnant. So you got to go with the Mirena diaphragm, the pill. You can use the injection right here in the arm. Keeps her free from pregnancy for 3 months. Don't use the pull-out method. Careful with those suppositories. You're just playing with fire.
Here's another thing. The penis doesn't have to go in the vagina. When we were growing up, that was presented as the ultimate. I mean, it makes sense because that's how you reproduce, and that's what sex is at a very elementary level. I wanted to lose my virginity. I wanted to in high school, which I failed to do. I wanted penis and vagina, but really, with 40 years of hindsight, I can tell you that I should have been, though I didn't achieve any of this either, I should have been happy with a steady diet of hand jobs from a girlfriend. You get to jizz, it feels good, you've got a girl doing it. There's plenty, there's there are various other places where the jizz can go instead of the vagina, which reduces the chances of pregnancy considerably. And that's all you. And in the 90s, President Clinton's Surgeon General, Jocelyn Elder, had to quit because she said that high school students should be taught about masturbation, which I still consider very reasonable advice. Teach high school kids to jack each other off rather than doing the full ficky, which can lead to pregnancy. Actually, that message may be getting across to people because teen birth rates are at their lowest in history since they first started collecting statistics.
I'd just like to give another, don't interrupt me, I'd like to give another word of advice, and that is this. Never choose a woman based on her personality. And and here, this is some wisdom. Took me into my 50s to understand this. Wisdom you will not hear in high school. Your dad won't tell you, your older brother won't tell you. You have to have lived a full life to understand this. You want 3 things from a woman. You want looks, intelligence, and kindness. Now, if you need intelligence that badly, you can read a book or you can make intelligent friends. So what does that leave? That leaves kindness and that leaves looks. So let me explain. This is the important piece of wisdom. When you can be with the biggest, meanest woman in the world, but when she loves you, she'll be kind. Okay? So, and conversely, you can be with a saintly, kind woman, but when she falls out of love with you, she becomes a bitch. That's just the way it works, young men. Don't interrupt me. Don't move the camera, director.
Young woman.
So, don't try to correct me while I'm doing this. I'm trying to help people here. This is my duty.
I'm Candace, not a young man.
Okay, so here's the deal. You're basically left with physical appearance. So, because it's the only thing you can control. She either looks good or she doesn't. Now, wait, I'm not done. So the question is, since you know that kindness depends on how much she loves you, what you have to do is you have to keep her loving you. So remember, whatever it is you did to get her to love you, you can't stop. You can't get comfortable. So we'll go over it one more time briefly. Rule number 1, if she's mean but she loves you, she'll be kind. Number 2, if she's kind and she falls out of love with you, she'll turn mean. Number 3, whatever you did to get her to love you, keep doing that. Don't get comfortable. All right.
All right, I think I have 2 rules for getting and being with a partner. One is be your own best self, which is, there's a new term, I guess it's new, called incels. An incel is short for involuntarily celibate. And these are guys who can't get laid and are pissed about it, and there's when there's a fairly high chance that when somebody shoots up a place, including the guy who just killed 5 people at the newspaper in Annapolis, Maryland, that was a guy who was pissed off because the newspaper ran an article about the legal aspects of this guy, the shooter, harassing a woman. This guy wouldn't leave a woman alone. It went to court. He was found guilty, and the newspaper ran an article on it. And the guy was pissed, and he eventually, after years of being pissed about, he sued the newspaper, and the judge is like, no, you did this stuff. They're allowed to report on it. He went in and he killed a bunch of people. This is a creepy guy, who couldn't get a girlfriend because he was creepy. And in my mind, The way to avoid this is instead of getting pissed that girls don't like you and deciding it's the girl's fault or it's society's fault or whatever, improve yourself. And in fact, there's a semi-creepy, or maybe more than semi-creepy, kind of discipline called pickup artistry, where guys are taught how to talk to girls and make them interested in them. And yeah, it has creepy aspects, but a non-creepy aspect of the deal is that you need to improve yourself. If you dress like crap, if you look like crap because you don't exercise, like whatever, do whatever you can. If you've got no interests, if you're not, whatever, fun or whatever, think about it as if you're, from the point of view of the girl that you're approaching, what do you have to offer the girl? And do what you can to have more to offer a potential partner. And don't think if girls don't like you, don't think it's the girl's fault and just get pissed at them. Instead, look at yourself and see what you can do about it. Rule 1, be your own best self. Rule 2 is have reasonable expectations, which is unless you're, and even if you are, even the biggest stars in Hollywood have somebody they're with who is tired of their shit. Case in point, Mel Gibson used to be the People magazine World's Sexiest Man. In the early 80s, he was the world's sexiest man. But it turned out at home that he was just a lunatic. And eventually his wife had to divorce him. She got tired of his crazy shit. And that may apply even when, various other world's sexiest men aren't as crazy as Mel Gibson.
Johnny Depp lost Amber Heard.
Yeah, apparently he was kind of a dick. But she looked like she was kind of a dick too. But she was the one who got abused.
Who knows?
But anyway, don't expect perfection from your partner or from your relationship. Doesn't mean put up with an endless amount of shit. Don't just don't eat shit like if your wife is blatantly having an affair in front of you and treating you like a cuck. But within reason, work on your relationship, because everybody, no matter nobody, even the world's sexiest men, cannot usually get somebody who is perfect across the board. Maybe the one person is Clooney. We'll see how that goes.
All right. You know what? I've agreed with most of your advice. Now I'm going to have to disagree.
Okay.
And this is a little different. This is a take on your advice number 2, and that is, if you're a guy, do never be intimidated by a beautiful woman. No matter how beautiful she is, no matter how repulsive you are, you go ahead and ask her out. And I'll tell you why. Because you may get shot down by 100 beautiful women, but number 101, you remind her of her English professor when she was in high school and she's been looking for him for 10 years. So just go ahead. You'll never know because, okay, I'm going to give you a secret. If you took out 10 women and you asked a guy, pick the woman you want, every guy would pick the most beautiful woman. But if you took 10 men and you asked the women would want to talk to the guys. They'd want to know, what is this guy like? What is his resume? They'd want to understand him a little bit. Talk to her. You may find that even though you're repulsive, she may like you. So don't be intimidated by beautiful women. You just keep asking them out.
I've got a caveat on that. You don't want it. In fact, there's a movie called Set It Up playing right now on Netflix. Lucy Liu and some other people. Tyrese Anyway, one of the main characters has a model girlfriend, super beautiful, and of course we know that he has to dump her by the end of the movie, or she has to dump him for him to get together with the girl that he should be with. And eventually he does make the decision that, yeah, he has to dump the beautiful girl because she's no fun. She's not, she doesn't give him what he needs in a relationship. And I gotta say that particularly now, like stunning beauty, like sometimes somebody is stunningly beautiful and also awesome in every other way. Not that you're gonna get this person, but Chrissy Teigen is just apparently awesome. She's hilarious. She's a great cook. She seems very human. Good partner, good mom. Just and she started, you know, what she was first known for was being a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. So it's crazy that she's a great cook because, you know, most Sports Illustrated swimsuit models, you know, probably live on rice cakes and kale. But in any case, like she's like this rare thing. And, you know, like stunning beauty is maybe less important now than ever before because everybody's head is filled with images from the internet anyway. You know, back in 1880, you know, your images of that you used for sexual arousal were, you know, how your wife looked, or you know how the school marm looked when you spotted her on the street and you accidentally got a glimpse of her ankle, and maybe some engravings, paintings, yeah, but mostly, you know, who you were with, married to, you know, maybe you snuck away to the whorehouse or something. But anyway, now, you know, every computer is like a whorehouse of images. There's just like hundreds of millions of images of naked women, if women are what you like, and probably tens of millions of naked men, if that's what you like.
Transgender.
Whatever you want. And, you know, if you're so, in most people's brains, you've been very careful about not contaminating your brain with too much porn.
Correct.
Yeah, but you're not like most people. Most people, you know, overwhelming percentage of men and probably a fair percentage of women have all sorts of you know, pornographic images.
And what is your point?
The point is that it's a cornucopia of stuff to give you boners out there in the world.
What is the advice that this is leading to?
You don't need you don't need a 10 out in the world. You don't need to be married to a 10 of this, you know. You can be married to, you know, a person you like rather than the most beautiful person you can land.
Okay, can I respond?
Yes.
Okay, I actually have another piece of advice, and this is I think very a unique position, and that is this: when Rick mentioned this movie where the guy was dating this gorgeous model and gradually realized that she wasn't the girl for him because she didn't have the personality, and that there was another girl with a better personality, dumps the beautiful woman for the girl with a better personality. That is the plot of virtually every single movie. Since they started making movies in the 1920s or whatever, that's been the plot. And I'm going to tell you something out in YouTube land. Don't buy it. And here is why. Because someday you will be with a beautiful woman and you will say, you know what? It turns out that she was just a pretty face and that she really didn't have a great personality. What my mother and all those movies told me was wrong. and I should be with a nice girl. Don't buy that bullshit. What's really happening is this. You found out that the beautiful woman you were with is a bitch because all beautiful women are bitches. You have to get past that. You have to go through that. You have to say to yourself, you know what? This girl is beautiful and she's a bitch, but ugly women can be bitches too. You might dump the beautiful woman because she's a bitch and wind up with an average looking woman that's also a bitch. So what you have to do is you have to tell yourself that story about how it's really what inside matters, and do not buy it. Don't let yourself make that mistake. You hang on to that beautiful woman like your life depends on it. And what you do is you work with it. You just say, okay, she's a bitch. I knew that was going to happen because Lance told me that all beautiful women are bitches, and he's right about everything. He's right about Trump. He's right about immigration. He's right about women. He told me that all beautiful women are bitches, but he also said you work with that. You take that as part of the deal. You say, look, they have periods once a month, and when they're beautiful, they're bitches, and I'm just going to work my way through this. I'm going to learn to enjoy it, and I'm not going to hold it against her, because you wouldn't hold it against a bear if it bit your hand when you got near its cub. That's just the nature of the beast. You can't blame the thing.
Well, would you call this, real quick, the part of the deal? You see, that's part of the deal.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right, so I got two things.
Real quick question.
Hold on, because before I forget.
All right.
Two things. One is...
of course the beautiful woman's going to bite your hand.
Well, no, the deal is that, like, particularly in cities where, like New York City, where there are a lot of models, a lot of people, and where you're on the street, where it's a pedestrian city. Not everybody's, hidden in a car. Women have to, attractive women generally have to develop kind of a closed face. Like a face is like, fuck off, do not approach me. Because otherwise, if you have an open face,
Sure.
How would you describe an open face?
just like,
Friendly,
hi,
everybody,
instead of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a thing. But there's a hidden assumption in what you're saying, which is that you are with a beautiful, an ultra beautiful woman. And that's not how life works in many cases. And like people meet potential partners in all sorts of places, at school, at work. And most people aren't astonishingly beautiful, but like if you like a person and they're not, astonishingly beautiful, that doesn't necessarily disqualify them. If you like them, regardless of how they look, it's not unreasonable to consider them, even though they're not as, one thing that people learn as they, a lot of these movies, you could call them, there's a term called Bildungsroman, which is a story of somebody maturing, growing up, learning about the world. And, what happens in middle school and then in high school, everybody starts off, naive guys naively start off wanting the cheerleaders and the prom queens. And then eventually people are like, yeah, a lot of guys are like, there are other people besides these most desired people. In fact, there's this John Nash strategy from A Beautiful Mind where you look at you figure out which women everybody wants, and then you eliminate them from consideration, and then you pick from among the remaining women because your chances of success are better among the women that not everybody is focused on. At my University of Colorado, had a small percentage, 5 or 8% of super attractive people that everybody had crushes on. And then there were 92% of everybody else who were kind of overlooked. Well, don't overlook the overlooked.
And this is a question for both of you. And what if you're with a beautiful woman who's just with you for your money?
Can I answer first?
Yeah.
We'll go
No,
back and
go ahead,
forth
go ahead.
because you just did one.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank your lucky stars. And I'll tell you why. Because she's never going to love you for yourself. There's not a woman on earth that loves you for who you are. They love you for the way you make them feel. And if the money you're giving them makes them feel secure and warm and affectionate, then that's what you're offering. The thing is, after the age of 16, a woman is not going to love you because of your shapely calves, if she ever did. She's not going to love you for your looks once she gets into her 30s. That's a thing of teenage girls in their 20s. Those girls want sexy guys. Actually, when they're in high school, they want a guy that's popular or liked by their friends. When they're in their 20s, they want a sexy, attractive guy. After they hit 30, they start wanting a guy for all the things he has to offer, which might be stability, a nest for her children, affection, a guy that's maybe a little bit insecure and would like to hold on to her instead of the captain of the football team that's going to give her nothing but trouble because he's always going to be looking around for other girls. So my point to you is that if she's with you for your money, fine.
I have a caveat to that, which is don't stay with
By
somebody.
the way, notice how he interrupted me?
No, you were
All right,
done.
go ahead.
Don't be with somebody who's openly contemptuous of you. Now, she may love you for your money or the other things you provide rather than some central essence of yourself. But as
Give me an example of contemptuous word.
you get a mail-order bride from the Ukraine. She comes to America. You're 62 and socially awkward, but you have some money. She gets over here and she starts banging a hot 32-year-old and doesn't hide it at all. You don't want that.
Wrong. Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
All right. No, you do want that. When you're 62, if you can get some hot Ukrainian, even if it's for 3 months, take the deal. Just make sure that when the 3 months are up and she starts cheating on you, that you don't have any ties, that you can get out of it. But the point is, 3 months with a hot Ukrainian girl at 62, hey, that may be the best offer you're going to get.
Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing because
No, we are. You're trying to warn people. You're trying to say, hey, you're 62. Instead, you should go for a less hot girl that woman that loves you because you both read the same
No,
books.
I'm not saying
that. You know what?
What?
Take the hot Ukrainian
No,
girl.
I'm not saying.
Know that it's going to... Don't interrupt
You're
me.
missing.
Don't
No, but
interrupt
you're
me.
misrepresenting what I'm saying.
Know that it's going to be over in 3 months and enjoy it.
No, because you're misrepresenting. I'm agreeing with you. Say you're with this woman and she's affectionate to you for 2.5 months, but 3 months in, you walk in and she's blowing a 32-year-old guy in your kitchen, and she doesn't stop when you walk in. Then don't put up with that. You're done. Whatever.
But you know what? You know what? I have a caveat that goes even beyond that. Listen to this. If you're the 62-year-old guy, you get the hot Ukrainian girl, you know you're going to get 3 months where she's on her best behavior. But you know what? That gives you 3 months to get her to love you. In fact, you might actually win this game because she may actually decide, hey, this guy's all right. So even in the long term, it might work out.
I'm just saying when it doesn't, when there's open contempt, irredeemable contempt, you don't have to.
If you have enough money to get the Ukrainian, could you just get another one for 3 months? Maybe every 3 months get a new
that
one?
mail order bride stuff. If you've watched documentaries, they try to milk you for many tens of thousands of bucks before they hook you up.
Well, I'm not saying you do that. You got to go to the Ukraine. And actually, during the Ukrainian war, that was my plan. When the Russians invaded the Ukraine, I'll tell you what I was going to do. I was going to find myself a Ukrainian woman near the front, near eastern Ukraine. And I was going to say to her, look, to the east, and don't interrupt me, to the east, all right, to the west, you've got me, Lance Richland. To the east, you've got the Russian army and certain death. What do you choose? And I think a lot of those women will take me. Now, some will take certain death in the Russian army. They'll be crushed beneath the treads of Russian tanks. But a lot will say, you know what? I'll take that deal. I'll take Lance Richland. But wait a minute. You're interrupting me. This YouTube show is a show about success. And I'm trying to teach people my method of of swooping into a disastrous situation and turning it into a formula for success. You can profit by military conflicts, famine, all over the world. Wherever there is trouble, wherever there is despair, you can swoop in there and you can get yourself a hot woman because of the threat of death if she decides not to go with you.
This is a despicable
and you can buy my book. You can buy my book, How to Turn the Worst Possible Catastrophe into Possible Success with Women.
This is a despicable point of view, but I happen to agree with it.
Can you go to the border and find a hot demon, maybe?
I don't know how that would work, but who knows? But that's just anyway. I have
story of my life.
Now I have.
That's the story of my life.
Here, one more piece of advice, and then we should break.
Answer that. All right, go ahead.
A woman. I don't know. We're talking like we're authorities, but I am somebody who's been married to the same person since 1991, and I believe, at least in my relationship, it's appreciated when you work on the relationship. Now, maybe some women are like, "No, that's boring. Well, we're fine. We're just frickin', don't bug me with relationship stuff." But in my relationship, at least, I get points for caring about the relationship, and what we do is we go see a couples counselor once every 3, 4, 5 weeks, and we discuss things in a refereed environment, where the counselor, and our guy is good, he's 91 years old, he's been doing this stuff for more than 60 years, he's wise like Yoda, and he tries to keep things fair, where neither party feels like they're losing the deal, and it's an hour every 4 weeks, which is 1 hour out of 668 hours. It's a small investment to show your person that you care, though there is a rule or a tactic that will save you from being thought of as the bad person in the relationship if your couples counselor happens to be bad. And a third of all professionals are bad at their jobs. So odds you could get a bad one. And you should get out of that before they pollute your relationship with their badness. But the way to withstand even a bad couples counselor is to have some gripes. Because if your couples counselor is an idiot, he or she will think that the person without gripes is the bad one in the relationship. Because the other person's like, oh, it's like this, and I'm being strangled and suffocated, and he doesn't care, he doesn't pay attention, and then the guy's like, oh, I think things are okay. Oh, cool, the guy who thinks things are okay, well, he's the dick who doesn't notice anything and who isn't trying. And so have some gripes, and be ready to throw around a bunch of, it might be both our faults. All right, so that's.
Wait, I have a response to this. So I just want to say this. I totally agree with Rick on couples counseling. And I'll tell you why. Because the time when it's most important for you to develop a relationship, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you're trying to maybe have a hope for starting a family, that's when you know the least about relationships. So you're basically an amateur, and you're in a situation where the ship is going down and neither of you know how to swim. No matter what you thought, you may be both very nice people, but you're never prepared for all the things that can go wrong in a relationship and turn it bad. And so having a professional to talk to about it is very, very good. I totally support that, because by the time you're my age and you know all the things that can go wrong, you've missed out on a million opportunities that came your way. So he's right about counseling.
Now let me just give
counseling, if you can afford it. It can be pricey.
We're lucky enough to have decent insurance that covers that stuff. But let me just give you the standard example of where inexperience will get your ass kicked. My college girlfriend asked me, what's one part of my body you could change if you could? Now, stupidly and inexperiencedly, I answered with a part of her body. Yeah, I think your stomach sticks out a little much. I'd like your stomach to be flatter. So fucking stupid. No. Just the answer to that, and it's similar to do these pants make my ass look fat? The answer is always no. You look beautiful in those, particularly beautiful. And the answer to if you could change any, no, I wouldn't. I can't answer that question, because every part of your body is precious and beautiful to me and to anybody. You are, but I was dumb. I didn't know, and so I answered honestly, and that it was, that was like a big hammer blow to the archway of our relationship.
All right, don't ask a question. I have something to respond to that. Here's 2 ways you can get into trouble. Okay, gentlemen, never date a woman with high self-esteem. She'll be nothing but trouble. What you want is a woman with very low self-esteem. The ones with the low self-esteem, they're all 10s. If you want to know what a 10 looks like, it doesn't look like a famous actress. It's a woman with low self-esteem. And the reason is she'll put up with anything. That's the first thing. And the second thing is this: don't date a woman that knows how to defend herself. I dated a woman that had a black belt in karate. And let me tell you something. The first argument we had, she tried to give me a karate chop to the neck. Now, this is an instructional, educational YouTube, and I just want you to know, I guess I'm not giving away any secrets, but if you chop someone right there hard enough, and she was good, you can actually kill them. So it wasn't long before I saw the 5 fingers of death coming at my neck. Don't date a woman that can defend herself. It was just sheer luck that I got out with my life.
I'm not going to respond to that point, but the self-esteem thing, there's another way of looking at it, where I look at it, there are 2 types of people. People who feel...
If I wasn't lightning with my hands, I'd be dead right now. Whatever you do, run. If she looks tough, she's trouble. Don't risk. Don't take the risk. You'll end up 6 feet under.
All right, 2 types of people. People who think they can easily hook up with a new person in a short amount of time.
Just like that.
And
you can
people
do it
who
this
think
way, backhanded,
it might be,
or this way. Both will kill a man.
It might be.
And let me tell you something. It won't be long before you say something that pisses her off.
I will put you
and you'll be dead.
I will give you the 2 fingers of unconsciousness.
Liberal. There you see the liberal thugs.
The deal is, so 2 people, if you're somebody who thinks you can hook up easily, yeah, I've never had any problem. Like, then this advice isn't for you. You're just going to go out, you're going to get on Tinder, and within a few days at most, you'll find somebody else to get with. But if you're the person who thinks, it may be 7 months, last time, I was single, it was like a year and 2 months. And that was miserable. The people like that who think it's going to be a long time before they end up with their next relationship and really want a relationship, those people will work harder on a relationship. Lance puts it, they'll put up with anything. But really, no, you could say it that way, but another way of saying it is that somebody who values relationships, maybe because they have a hard time ending up in a relationship, may give you the time to work on the relationship and grow in it and develop, learn how not to be a dick and develop a solid relationship that lasts. All right, we should.
No, I've got one more thing. Okay. Do not date uppity white girls from great families, wealthy. Don't do it. You stick with the blue-collar girl. And the reason is this. The more elevated her position in society is, the more things she's going to demand, the more difficult, the more expectations you're going to have to meet, the more romantic fantasies she has, and the more easy it's going to be for her to cry or be dissatisfied or disappointed. You date a blue-collar girl from America's proud working class, and you know what? She's used to a little disappointment. She'll be a lot easier to get along with. That's all I have.
Would you date a socialist Democrat?
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, one more. You asked me a question. The director asked me a question. Would I date a socialist Democrat? Let me tell you something. What a woman thinks and says has nothing to do with what she feels and does. She can say whatever she wants about politics. I don't care. It's just so long as she's not fucking another guy. Just so long as she feels love for me.
All right, so another way of kind of framing what Lance just said is a message of romantic comedies, for the most part. There are some that go against the grain, but most romantic comedies give you the message that love conquers all. That two people from different walks of life, that does this and that, that go through all these challenges. If two people like each other enough, that liking and loving each other will overcome anything. And that's not accurate. You need to, maybe it will happen every once in a while, but really you give love a chance by supporting it, by propping it up by not being a douche, by showering, by not having boogers, by maybe having a decent income if you can pull that off, by having manners, by support this love that you might be developing with things that make you less rejectable.
Would you date a social democrat? Is there any particular social democrat right now you think that is hot?
All right, so what you're pushing at, what our director is pushing towards, is we're going to discuss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's the 28-year-old, very charismatic candidate who overcame a 30-point polling deficit in the primaries out of New York to beat a guy who'd been in Congress for 10 terms, 20 years or more. And what this underlines, in my mind at least, is, now she's a socialist. I don't think that makes as big a difference as is that she's a very attractive, vibrant, charismatic person. And one of the things that made the 2016 presidential election both rare and sad is that you had two dislikable candidates, uncharismatic. To get the last presidential election before 2016 where you had two uncharismatic candidates was Dukakis versus Bush Sr. in 1988. So 28 years before that. Usually there's one charismatic at least one charismatic candidate, and we're human, and it's helpful to have pretty dynamic, attractive people. Otherwise, shit's a bummer. Go ahead.
It just reveals how dangerous and evil the Democrat Party is. I wouldn't kick her out of bed, but I wouldn't vote for her because she believes in abolishing ICE, so we'll have no border laws whatsoever. We'll just
you'll have some other.
Don't interrupt me.
All right.
Don't interrupt me.
1 minute.
Abolishing ICE, free medical, so we'll have no border at all, free medical care for all, free college for all, free housing for all. Complete insanity, and I'm glad the Democrat Party is revealing this about themselves, and I'm sorry that my learned opponent interrupted me and bought into this bullshit. It just
None of that's gonna happen.
It just shows me how wrong the guy is, and I'm going to keep up the good fight, trying to save America by defeating Rick.
None of that socialist stuff's going to happen. And I looked at a poll. 1%. There's only 1% of Democrat lunatics who want an open border. 99% of Democrats want a controlled border.
Yeah,
that open borders bullshit is bullshit.
What happens when you have no ICE?
How long is
Who's
ICE
going
gonna
to enforce the immigration laws?
There's the border patrol, or what? I mean,
What happens when they get here and there are thousands of them working
you
in a
put
factory?
people on the border. Maybe it's not ICE, but obviously,
What's wrong with ICE?
people don't like them right now.
People don't like them right now.
All right,
That's
time's
not an
up,
excuse.
right? We done? Here, 10 seconds. All right, I don't know. I don't give a shit one way or the other. You're gonna have people on the border. Like, the policies are what matter. What they're called doesn't matter. Just, you need people on the border, whether it's border patrol or ICE. You need a control.
She wants to abolish ICE.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna.
Right, so we'll just keep voting for these people until there's hundreds of
It's
them
one.
in Congress.
It's not. That's not gonna happen.
This is
either.
how it starts,
Joe
Rick.
Slippery
This
Slope.
is
It's
why I'm
not gonna
fighting you.
happen. It's not. It's not gonna fucking happen. The end.
All right.
Okay. That was a fun session.
All right.